Hello and welcome to Love Anything Art. Today I will show you how I made this statement piece. It is a cityscape necklace. To begin, I'm going to use a piece of paper and begin drawing out my template for my cityscape. When drawing it, I am going to draw it to scale so that I can cut out the pieces and make my templates for my actual necklace. So it will need to be as wide and as tall as you want it to be. So those are my parameters for the sides and then my parameters for the top and bottom. And then I will just start roughly sketching out my buildings. As you can see, it doesn't take a lot of skill to just make some lines on here. But each building is a different length and width and height. And then I'll just go ahead and make my little lines here at the bottom, kind of making them look 3D-ish. I'm going to start roughly sketching in my windows. And with the tops of each of these, I just kind of went in and made a little swoopy instead of it making it perfectly straight across, just to kind of give it a little bit of added character to the tops, so it wasn't kind of boring and plain and just your standard square buildings. And then the same with the windows. I kind of want them to be just kind of funky looking, maybe dipping at the top and the bottom a little bit. Nothing completely symmetrical. And this is my sketch that I have. Put that aside, and then I'm going to take some white clay, a purple color, and a black. And I'm going to make a Skinner blend. I just took a little ball of each of them, and you'll notice they are not all the same size, and that is okay. Just kind of making a rough Skinner blend here. Got my 3 balls of clay. And with each of those, I'm going to roll it into a teardrop shape. I've kind of found that this is the best way for me to make a Skinner blend. There are several different ways that you can do it, but this was just the easiest, and I felt like I didn't have to be particularly spot on or accurate with making it. I just roll each of those into a little teardrop. I have my 3 teardrops, and I will lay them out thin side to thicker side. Kind of looks like this. And then I'll just start giving it a nice smush just to flatten it a little bit. I'm going to use my roller also. And eventually I'm going to put this through my pasta machine. You don't have to use a pasta machine, but I do feel like it makes quick work of your Skinner blend process. I'm going to take my piece and kind of elongate it just once. And I should have made sure that my pasta machine was on the thickest setting. It was the second to thickest, but it is okay. I'm going to adjust that in just a moment. You run it through there once. You just fold it in half. You're going to put it back through there, fold side down. And just keep running it through the machine like that until you have a nice, cohesive, even, smooth Skinner blend. That's after about 20 times or so. A few more times and I will have a nice Skinner blend, completely blended. And there we go. I like that. Sometimes clay is just so pretty. So I'm going to use my templates now, and with each of the pieces I want to find my thickest building, and mine is this one right here. Now the two longest points, which are at the very bottom, I want my Skinner blend to be that length, so it goes from dark to light all in the same spectrum. I do need to make it a little bit smaller or shrink it up a little bit. And I just simply take my fingers and start pushing in the sides. Since I don't have a lot to trim up, you could also just shave off, cut off some of the side pieces. But I kind of want all of the color and all of the clay used, so I'm just smushing in the sides there. Pretty simple, nothing scientific there. And then just to even it out, give it a nice roll with the roller. And then just stretching it out, just to kind of even everything out and pull those colors a little bit more. And I do want to elongate this and make it a little bit thinner, so I'm going to roll it through my pasta machine. And it is on the thickest setting. Now I'll put it through again, just one notch down from the thickest setting. And then I'll just keep doing that until I have the piece as long and thin as I want it. All right, I finished that. Just gonna cut off those messy ends. Scraps, people, scraps, save those. They're like gold. You can make some really pretty pieces out of scrap. And I do apologize, this shot is upside down. I forgot to flip my video. But I have my Skinner blend to the thickness I need. I'm going to cut off a piece that is the same height and length as my tallest building. And I will do this with each of my little buildings. But just starting with the first one here, just cut off a section. Girl, you need to sharpen that blade. It is not cutting right. And go ahead and cut out your buildings, or in this case, I'm just going to cut out the first one for now. All right, I have that placed on my Skinner blend, and it's going to be a nice variant from dark to light. I'll just use my tissue blade and cut off any pieces of clay that are showing through. All right, I have my building cut out. I'm just going to cut it directly in half here. And I thought by cutting it in half, it would kind of give me more of a 3D look when it was all done. So you can kind of see that there is a edge to the building. Now I'm going to start putting in my windows. You can do it one of two ways. The first way is not for me, but I will show it to you. Basically, you can just take an X-Acto knife and then cut out each of those windows. and you'll see how long this takes for each of those. Felt like that was just a long time. And then place that back on your piece of clay and then start cutting out each of those windows. Or the second way, which is the way I'm going to do, I'm just going to freehand it because that's what I like to do. Just kind of visually finding out where the windows are going to line up. I have my template right beside my clay. This will help me visualize and be able to cut out the windows kind of where they need to be. But there is no exact science to this, so you just start cutting. Remember to make your windows smaller than you think you need to cut them out, because you can always shave off a little bit more of the clay, but you can't put that clay back on there. And you do have a nice pretty Skinner blend, so you don't want to ruin that and have to start over again. But I'm just going slowly, just cutting out each of the windows. Then removing all of the excess clay there in the middle. And you can go back and kind of trim up and fix up the windows just to get rid of any jagged edges. This did take me a little bit to do, but I do have the patience to do it. Just listened to a podcast and I had it done in no time. With each of those windows, I'm just going to use my finger just to kind of smooth it out and make it a little less rough. And then to flatten it to my baking surface, just nice gentle roll. Then you can go back and fix up any of your little jagged window pieces that you don't like. Pretty easy. And then I'm just taking a Q-tip that's been soaked in some rubbing alcohol, and this will just further smooth out those edges. I'm not using a lot of the rubbing alcohol, just a little bit. I've cut out each of my pieces and my windows, and I have them stuck to my baking surface, and they're all ready to be baked. As you can see here from different angles how thick they are. All right, well guys, time to bake those. Doop. Got my little bad boys baked, and I do notice that I do have a little bit of smudgies in there, little dirties. So I'm just going to take some sandpaper and get rid of those little nasty areas. I'm going to do this while it's still stuck to my baking surface because the pieces are kind of thin, so it would be a little bit brittle to do this if you already took it off. But I gave it a nice little scrubbing with the sandpaper and just going back and cleaning up all of those sandpaper dusties. Those are technical terms, by the way. All right, and from there you can go ahead and just peel them off of your baking surface, just taking my tissue blade and running it underneath it, and it comes up pretty easily. All right, now for your windows. I'm going to take this yellow clay. I liked it. It was nice and bright. You can use a duller yellow if you would like. But basically you can just roll it out until it is pretty thin. Just like that. Just going to get rid of my unsmooth edge there. All right, and with each of my little city buildings, I'll place it on my clay and just start cutting out the shape. And then I will flip it over and just further trim up that yellow just so it doesn't poke out the sides and you can't see it once we put our backing on. All right, there's my little windows. And I have a nice little edge around the outside. But we're going to cover everything up, so don't worry about how pretty the back looks. I'm going to cover it up with some black here in a little bit. But just do that with each of your little buildings. Place them on your baking surface after you are done. Make sure they're nice and flat on there. And then you'll just pop that into the oven. Bye! See you on the other side of baking. Okay, here we go. And I'll just pop those off of there. And I did roll out some black clay. Make it as thick as you would like. It is the backing. You just want to cover everything up and make your piece a little bit sturdier. So I've placed my little city buildings on there. And I've placed them back together, the two halves. And then I'll just start cutting out around the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to fix the edges up and get it all nice and pretty. I have my shape cut out. Save that for the rest of your backings. Just make sure it's all nice and flat and smooth on there. And then I'm going to take the edges and kind of close them up. Just laid it on a flat surface and then use my fingers in a sweeping motion just to get the two sides together. And then you can use your finger to smooth it out and make it look like it was a seamless edge. And I will do this with each of my little city buildings. And some of these I am going to leave in whole chunks instead of just individual buildings. That one's an individual one. Be sure to bake your pieces. I've rolled out several balls of black clay, and I'm going to use these on the back sides for the holes or loops for my necklace to go through. And since it's baked, I will put a little bit of Bacon Bond on there. I'll place a stick pin across the areas that I want to place on my little backings. Put a ball on each of those spots. And this little building has 4 pieces. It's a 2-stranded necklace, so it needs to have 2 on each of your pieces. All right, I placed on my backings and I did bake them. Now I'm going to use some resin for the fronts of my buildings. I'm not resining the back. As you see, I put some resin on the outside, covered up the windows too. You could actually just not put any resin in the windows, but I kind of liked the way it looked. Just remove the backings, the sticks, and then you'll just place in your wires for your necklace. I'll show you one of them. And this is the wire I'm using if you are interested in that. I always leave links in the description box below so you can check those out too. But you can use any wire that you have. Don't go out and buy anything special. All right, I'm just going to thread my little wire through each of the backings. And you see it goes through there pretty easily. You'll put one on the top there and one on the bottom. And I finished it, went all the way around, and this is my little necklace. I really like the way it came out. I love shiny things. It's very glossy. And then the back, which you're not going to see, so it came out really nice. I like it. I like it. And if you are interested in any of my items, I do have an Etsy shop where I post these things. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!